was meant to be this week's In My Mug on tour. Unfortunately, that's where it cut out. So I spoke to the camera for around about 5-6 minutes without it recording, so I'm a bit daft. But the show must go on, so hello everybody and welcome to In My Mug episode 261 on the 11th of November 2013. I am your host Steve Layton, and the plan was this week to not do any news, not do any Roland's Daft Fact, not do any Dale's questions, not do any screen grabs, just record this and get on with it. And I'm going to keep to that, apart from one bit of news that I do want to tell you about. So, many moons ago, Aidan, who's a friend of ours, an In My Mug watcher, In My Mug subscriber, made us an app for the In My Mug programmes, for the videos and for comments and for you to leave your own copy notes. And it was really popular for a while, and then we kind of got sidetracked with other things and it got put to one side. Aidan's revisited that recently and has done In My Mug 2.0, which is tying in with all the new branding. Also changing the way that you leave your cupping notes. So in the old ones, it was proper cupping notes where you put acidity, and that kind of put some people off. So what the camera does now, what the app does now, is if you go in, it's a 5-star review. So basically you choose a star rating from 1 to 5, you can put your own cupping notes in there that you can store and you can read, and that will go into a leaderboard. And everybody who adds to it, you will see kind of which coffee is the favourite one. You can also search previous In My Mugs, watch all of the videos from old. It's a really, really super app. So please go take a look at it. I'm going to put a link on the screen somewhere now, so you can go and download that. It is only available for iPhone and iPad. It looks gorgeous on the iPad, by the way. On the iPhone it's good, but on the iPad it's amazing. It's really, really usable. It is an Android. I don't think it will ever be Android. Aidan built this for free for us. It is a labour of love, and he only programs in iPhone and iPad, so or OS X as I should say. So, is it OS X? I can't remember. But anyway, it won't be available on any other platform. But if you have those devices, it's a really good tool, and please do dive in and have a look at it. So the focus on for this month is Colombia. And we did a coffee from Huila last month, and I talked a little bit about Huila. This week's is also from Huila, so I ain't going to be doing stuff on that. But what I am going to be doing is, this week coming, so the week that this is out, I'll be doing a blog post on hasblog.co.uk about Colombia in general. And this is something I'm going to do with all of these focuses on. Last month I did the one on Pacamaras, this month I'm going to do one on Colombia. It's been really interesting actually. I've been digging into lots of stats and found lots of things out. So do go along to hasblog some point this week and you will find the blog post there. So that's going to be the focus on. Now Huila is a very big state, probably one of the biggest coffee producers, well it is the biggest coffee producing state in recent last couple of years for quality coffee coming out of it. Neiva is the capital, and we may remember last month's Chirria was to the southwest of Huila. Well, this is in between the two, in between Neiva and Pitalito, which is the second biggest city. We have this one, which is La Plata, has a population of 55,000 and has an altitude of 1,050 metres, sorry, which isn't particularly coffee growing. It's the start of coffee growing country, I guess, but you wouldn't really want much less altitude than that. But this farm looks down from the mountains that surround the town at 1,700 metres. And in the map bit, you'll see a really cool bit where we can see that valley and see where it is in relation to the town. It's a farm that's owned by a lady called Ellen Llanos, excuse me, and with her husband Juan, her daughters, I'm going to get this wrong, Lydia and Diana, and little Juan. So they also have a son called Juan. The farm is 9 hectares in size, but only 5 hectares is planted with coffee. A little bit like last week's, some of the land is taken up with the house, lots of the land is inaccessible for coffee and they haven't been able to plant there. So it's not completely kind of covered with coffee everywhere. The varietals on the farm is 60% Castillo, 20% Colombia and 20% Caturra. Now Castillo and Colombia are two varietals that have been made to combat leaf rust. And we've talked about leaf rust a few weeks back when we were talking about varietals in the focus on, and we were looking at Costa Rica F1, talked a little bit about leaf rust. Leaf rust in Colombia has been a problem for a mighty long time. It's much more recent, an issue for places like Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala in Central America. Colombia has had this problem for quite a while, and they've been working very hard to make these varietals that are more leaf resistant. Now the problem with this is leaf resistant varietals tend to be not as tasty. And I was really, like, when I cupped this coffee, I absolutely adored it. I thought, this is delicious. I cannot believe it. When I found out it was 60% Castillo, 20% Colombia, I was like, wow. And it just shows that these varietals planted in the right parts. A little bit like the Catimor that we had from Finca, Argentina, about 8-9 episodes ago. It just shocked me. And was amazing to find a great coffee that is resistant to the rust, but also extremely tasty, as we're going to find out in a minute. So we should go through the figures of the farm. The farm is called El Descanso. It is located in Huila, near to the town of La Plata, owned by Morel and Lanos. The farm is 9 hectares in size, with 5 hectares planted with coffee, has an altitude of 1,700 metres above sea level, it's Castillo, Colombia and Catora. It is a fully washed, dried on raised beds and sun-dried. And that's as much as I'm going to do on it, because I'm going to have to rush it and edit this one now, because I was halfway through editing when I found out my files weren't there. But before I do that, it's time for the map bit. And this week's map bit, I don't think is going to be as good as last week's, because last week's was pretty stunning. I'm very, very proud of last week's map bit. But this is the problems of working with Google Earth.
It's the map bit, no expense spent. It's the map bit.
Hello! So now we go down to Has-Been, as we always do, and we're going to go across the sea to the wonderful continent of South America. Obviously, because we're focusing on Colombia, we're going to be spending some time in South America. But we should do the stats as we normally do. So there are 6 coffee-growing countries, the biggest population to the biggest surface area. You know, it's kind of a huge continent, as we know. But let's get down into Colombia. So Colombia is an interesting farm. So we've got an interesting farm, interesting country. We've got Colombia, population of 47 million. And very, very big land area, but a lot of rural areas with that. So here we can see Neiva, and we can see last week's La Chorrilla, and we can see La Plata, the town, and flashing is the farm. Now, the reason I've done this, I wanted to show you kind of where it was in relation to the capital Neiva. Now, the great thing about Google Earth a lot of the time is you can have detail like last week's. And then the other bad thing is sometimes it's very cloudy when it's there, particularly on these high spots, and it's very difficult to see. But what you can see is the farm's at 1,700 metres above sea level, and the town's at 1,000. So they really are very perched at the top. But let's look at the details of the farm. So the farm is called Finca El Descanso, 1,700 metres altitude. The varietal's Castillo with others, and the newest town is La Plata. Now let's go to La Plata. La Plata's not in the sky, that's Google Earth being weird, but you can see just how it is. And I really just wanted to show you in relation to that valley, and that was the map bit.
Okay, so that was the map bit. It's now time for us to whiz back to Dublin and to do the tasting with Pete C. Williams at 3FE Coffee. We are back. This is Pete C. Williams from 3FE.
Hello.
Formerly barista, but now roaster.
Yeah.
He's joined the roastery crew.
I know, I'm literally getting on a bandwagon.
Well, you're an old man now, so you see, that's what happens when you're old men.
I can't live.
It's kind of a thing you definitely have to do with roasting, is lots of lifting. So because we're roasters, we're drinking out of cooking bowls, and also that we don't have any mugs here. So we are going to try this coffee together. So I kind of thought it might be nice to get Pete on, because I've stolen his roastery space to record this. So the coffee is called El Descanso. It's from Colombia, from Huila, from La Plata, from Morel and Lanos. So yeah, you know, I've told you about this already. So we're going to dive in and try this coffee. So it's kind of good because it's cold. So I had to go find Pete to drag him on camera. We've had some technical issues.
I went to the sea.
You did go to the sea. This is so close to the sea. If you're lucky, I'll put a picture of the sea on the screen now. But yeah, so it's cold a little, but I think that's kind of helped, because the big thing about this for me is the main thing. It's like really silky, creamy, and my descriptor's honey. I don't know what you think. It's kind of like,
yeah, nice and sweet, but then it has that the milk will also remind you of this.
And there is an acidity
Not
there.
that you drink a cup of honey.
No, well, I don't know. They can do. And with this, I think it's also that it's like that it's not just sweetness. There's a little bit of acidity, and again, I get this like raspberry kind of thing come through. Which do you remember? Well, you will remember Licho. Like it reminds me so much of Licho. That honey mouth feel, that thing, that kind of that raspberry coming through, just very Licho-esque, which works really well as a blender as well. So we're only drinking it as brewed today as well because the espresso machine's sitting under the counter over there. Not plumbed in yet. And we're not plumbed in here yet.
It's basically not a roastery.
It's not.
It's a storage unit.
It's a holder for a roaster. So when do you think we're going to be roasting here in Dublin? 2 weeks?
2 weeks, definitely.
2 weeks, I think. Yeah. I think we've had 4 days here where we've fixed loads of problems.
Yeah.
But we've got a couple more to...
I found a few.
And found a few more. Yeah. One thing I'm good at is finding problems. But yeah, it's going to be really exciting. I can't wait to...
She's very pretty.
I can't wait for us to have a roast off.
Oh yeah, this is going to be good. Have a roast off.
It'll keep my ass as well. So, listen, thank you very much for joining me as always. Thank you, Peter, for coming on camera. And do remember, life is still too short for bad coffee, even if people say it's a corny saying.